Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The relations between India and Canada are on a reset ever since the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was elected in the beginning of this year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Carney met on the sidelines of the G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg earlier this month and pledged to work on the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, in which two countries either reduce or completely eliminate customs duties on a maximum number of goods traded between them. Once signed, this impact of this free trade agreement will be enormous. Even though India and Canada's diplomatic ties were at their lowest ebb in the last 2 years, India's trade ties with Canada's provinces, particularly Saskatchewan, have continued to prosper. This has been made possible due to decades of concerted efforts by the Government of India and the provincial government of Saskatchewan to continue engagement which goes beyond trade. It does not hurt that India is the largest importer of yellow peas, potash and other related agricultural produce from Saskatchewan. Going forward, the potential for trade between India and Canada and trade between India and Saskatchewan in particular is huge. Saskatchewan has the largest uranium reserves to fuel India's nuclear energy ambitious plans. Agriculture, R&D, innovation, nutrition security and agronomy are some of the other areas where both countries are working in close cooperation. The Premier of Saskatchewan, Scott Moe, joins me to discuss all this and more. Thank you very much, Premier, for joining us on NewsX and speaking to me. All right, let's start off with, of course, the very obvious question that is making global headlines. India and Canada are restarting their free trade talks after 2 tumultuous years of diplomatic discord. Prime Minister Carney, right after his appointment, has taken the rapprochement policy to mend ties with India. How do you view the decision taken by the two leaders to start work on a new deal from scratch? It is an FTA where negotiations are going to start very soon, even as the previous trade negotiation on EPTA never came to fruition under the Trudeau government.
This is a positive. And, you know, I would say credit lies in a number of different locations. First, you know, our Prime Minister Carney is, you know, working very hard to increase the credibility, the engagement, and the awareness of what Canada might have to offer in a, you know, in a comprehensive economic free trade agreement of any kind. And second to that, I would say to Prime Minister Modi and his government for, you know, continually identifying that, you know, Canada is a place where a country like India can look for a reliable supply of, you know, energy and food products to ensure that energy and food security are front and center as they are in any trade agreement, but also opportunities in innovation, research, and other spaces. And so I view this from Saskatchewan's perspective as a tremendous positive. An opportunity for us as a province within Canada to really advance and expand our trading relationship and more broadly our relationship with the country of India. So this is a you know, a welcome turn of the page and a welcome opportunity for us to work more closely as a nation and as a province with the country of India moving forward.
In a significant shift for India-Saskatchewan pulse trade, India has recently introduced and implemented 30% import duty on Canadian yellow peas effective November 1st, 2025. This development poses a fresh challenge for Saskatchewan pea exporters. How confident are you that CEPA, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, once signed between India and Canada and brought into effect, will bring down these tariffs, and how soon do you think this is going to happen?
Well, I would hope these that we could find you know, a path on the specifically the pea tariffs sooner than we could even find a path on the more broad trade agreement. You know, listen, you know, Saskatchewan and Canada have very much been front and center with the food security you know, quest the country of India has. And continue to, you know, work our way through the ebbs and flows of that trading environment. And our trade very much is centered and started with pulse crops like bees, but now has expanded to potash and to other products as well. So our trade did start in agri-food products. Agri-food products still make up a large percentage of the trade of between Saskatchewan and India, and we want to have those tariffs reduced. And we'll work very closely with, whether it be the High Commissioner, Minister Jaishankar I met with recently, to find our way through what is yet another in the immediate term a challenging tariff environment, but we're in this as a province with our trade relationship with India for the long term to be a multi-year sustainable provider of many products, and so short-term challenges, but medium to long-term opportunities, I think, in the relationship.
Now, you as the Premier of Saskatchewan have, from the very start of your election as the Premier of the province in 2018, have aggressively worked towards building strong trade relations with India. In 2024, in fact, your trade representative from your province was the only representative who was allowed to return to India after New Delhi restored his diplomatic immunity for his office. And this has happened despite the severed ties between India and Canada under Justin Trudeau, who led the country in the last few years. This obviously is very reflective of the relationship that India and Saskatchewan have built over the years. How have you managed to circumvent these challenges in the past few years that threaten the Saskatchewan economy amid strained ties between India and Canada?
Well, very much, our relationship is based in trade, but Saskatchewan to India, but it goes far beyond that. It starts to reach into research, into innovation, into opportunities where we can truly partner on, moving forward in not just energy and food security, but other opportunities across the broader economy as well. But at the very root of all of that trade and the opportunity for that trade to happen is, personal relationships. And we've realized that whether it be in India or many other countries around the world, Saskatchewan is very dependent on our, access to markets around the world. We export to over 160 countries. India among one of the most important countries that we export to, which is why we have very much prioritized our provincial relationship with the Indian government, the national government, the Modi government in India, but many other subnational governments in India, and most importantly, I think the importers of our products and the very industries that are utilizing the products that we have, namely the ag industry when it comes to potash fertilizer, the people of India when it comes to agri-food products. And I think it's on that very relationship that we have an opportunity, that provincial Saskatchewan to India relationship, that we have an opportunity to build a stronger Canada-India relationship as we look to expanding trades in the energy security space, possibly to, uranium and nuclear power, collaborating on, how we're moving forward in providing electricity to Canadians and people that live in India, Indians alike. And so, the opportunities are great. That's why I really welcome the discussion around some type of a comprehensive economic agreement or trade agreement of some type. It really, I think, will be the next step in building on the very dedicated partnership relationship, a trade relationship that Saskatchewan has valued for the last number of years, building on that from a Canada to Indian relationship. And we feel that's a good thing.
Right. And now, when you say that the Saskatchewan provincial government will be working to engage directly with the Indian government on the tariff issue, how effective a role and expansive a role are you and your government going to play in achieving this?
Well, as I said, we were at the G7 in Niagara here in Canada to meet with Minister Jaishankar to talk about, what the timelines look like moving forward, what opportunities, what you might have to, start to open up discussions between our nations on not only the removal of the tariff, but, a long-term relationship when it comes to the agricultural markets more broadly. And we understand there's ebbs and flows in domestic production. We understand and are not here to replace in any way, Indian agriculture, Indian production, but maybe in many ways to share some of our innovation and to share some of the opportunities that we have to to even out the ebbs and flows as a safe, affordable, sustainable supplier that is here year in and year out. And so, Minister Jaishankar and myself have met on a number of occasions. He provides tremendous leadership on behalf of the Modi government on the trade file. And we would hope that through his leadership and leadership from the Canadian side, that we will be able to build into maybe a more stable and solid and trade framework for not just agricultural products, but as I say, moving beyond that to potash, there's some opportunities I think in the canola space and canola oil right now, which we just talked with the High Commissioner about today. But some real opportunities in the energy space when it comes to uranium. And as we know, all Canadian potash comes from Saskatchewan, but so does all Canadian uranium come from Saskatchewan. And so we really are a part of that discussion as well. And so I think that we've really turned a corner, and it's my hope that we've turned a corner in the Canada-Indian partnership. And I hope that the next steps are trade focused. And I most certainly I'm going to be finding my way back to India in the near future to continue to build on that relationship that's so important to our province and our nation.
Now, there is an exciting deal that is coming up. Canada and India are closing in to finalize an export agreement in a deal that is valued at about $2.8 billion. And the deal for Canada to ship uranium to India would run for 10 years if this is finalized, and the uranium would be supplied by Canada's Camco Corp, which is headquartered in Saskatchewan. What work has gone into starting these fresh negotiations for uranium export to India after the previous $350 million uranium deal that collapsed?
Yeah, the previous deal had timed out, and it was a real struggle and we were an advocate to have it renewed at some point along the way. I think with all of the flux that we see around the world and the instability that we see around the world, there's a renewed energy and vigor to really understand who safe supply chains are, where those countries are, allied nations, if you will, and to start to source that safe supply from those particular nations. There's no, I think, safer nation to trade with than not only Canada, but in particular, as I said, all uranium comes from Saskatchewan. And I would say that Saskatchewan, having the strong relationship with India, this only makes sense for India, and it only makes sense for Saskatchewan. And so we would look forward to seeing, really the renewal of that nuclear cooperation agreement that we had over a decade ago had ventured into, and maybe even the opportunities to expand on it beyond just the supply of raw uranium, but even into the innovation of nuclear power and such. These are the opportunities that lie ahead for us when our trade relationship is strong, and that's something that we've always advocated for. We've had to be patient with it at times, but always advocated and always trying to put positive steps forward on more broadly the Canada-India relationship, but in our case the Saskatchewan-India relationship. And any uranium partnership moving forward, nuclear partnership moving forward, is going to be good in providing affordable, clean power to people that live in India. And we're also embarking on our own nuclear ambitions here, and so we'll be using a similar kind of power with exactly the same kind of fuel here in Saskatchewan. Clean Saskatchewan uranium.
Right. Now, how can your province assist India in India's plan to liberalize foreign investment in the nuclear energy sector? Does Saskatchewan have the potential to become the primary exporter of uranium to India in the coming years?
Yes. With respect to the supply of the fuel, as I say, that all comes from Saskatchewan. We have companies like Cameco that very much have the ability to increase their supply coming out of the mine sites that they have. We have 2 additional mine sites that we have all provincial approvals in place and are just working our way through the finality of a few federal approvals in those spaces, and then more that are in the development stages as well. So the future is very bright with respect to Saskatchewan uranium having an opportunity to provide the volumes that the world is going to need And so the next conversation is, do we have any opportunities to work on the innovation and technology and the actual, the nuclear plants that we are going to build, whether they be in India or in Canada. And, again, I would point back to Cameco and their partnership or ownership of Westinghouse, with their AP1000 reactor is a proven reactor, one that we're seeing other countries, including the U.S., start to invest in multiple units, which is going to provide that cost certainty that is good for all of us. And so as we look towards a sustainable electricity production into the future, nuclear is certainly going to be part of that, whether it be in India or North America or Canada or Saskatchewan for that matter. And companies like Cameco and Westinghouse and partnering, not just purchasing, but partnering with those companies on a clean energy future and enough electricity supply for our industries and residents. It is, it's an important discussion for us to most certainly have and to have earnestly. And that's hopefully what some of the Saskatchewan-India relationship will be able to get our respective nations to that discussion about, energy security, food security on a long-term basis.
Right. Now, how can India and Saskatchewan exploit the full potential on multiple fronts vis-a-vis nutritional security, agriculture tech and equipment, agriculture-related R&D and practices and agronomy?
Well, first, seldom do we travel without our post-secondary institutes here in Saskatchewan, whether it be our universities or our technical colleges. And that's where a lot of the research and innovation happens in the ag sector. Second, we bring the industry along, where the rest of the development of that innovation and the actual implementation in the ag sector occur as well. And I would say that some of the most innovative and advanced technology in sustainable, affordable, very production at a very large rate. The equipment and the production systems that are being used in Saskatchewan are large scale. We have a lot to share, not only in the actual food, fuel, and fertilizer that we sell around the world, but in the innovation and in the the technical expertise that we bring to some of the production systems. And that being said, when it comes to many other industries, I think in fairness, India has a lot to share with Canada as well in the production of so many other products that we may use personally or may use in the development of the industries in our nation as well. And I think that's what really makes this relationship between my nation, Canada, but my province, Saskatchewan as well, and India so very important moving forward. And that's why I'm so positive on the fact that our two governments are starting to look at, can we formalize a more sustainable trade relationship moving forward. The end result is going to be very positive for people in multiple industries that live in India. But I think also, in fairness, very positive for people that work in multiple industries today and into the future in Saskatchewan and Canada as well.
How do you view the role of the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and his foreign policy with India to resuscitate the Canadian economy?
Well, I think you separate the conversation around trade from everything else. And that has been my advice to the current Prime Minister Carney, as well as his trade minister. And I think that's important for us to remember. If you want to, in our case, to expand trade with countries like India, then you need to focus on and talk about, what products can we trade? How can we solidify that trade? Can we put together a comprehensive economic agreement that's going to provide certainty for that trade and for that investment to flow back and forth between our respective nations? And so a trade-based conversation, and only a conversation based on trade, I think is crucial to the success. And that is the approach that we have always taken, is one of let's focus on trade, but let's also look as to how we can support one another as communities and as provinces and as a nation as well, as we where we have the opportunity. And I think there's been multiple times in the past where Saskatchewan has lent its support on various topics to the Indian agricultural community, the innovation technology community, and also in space of supporting those communities through conversations around fertility and fertilizer supply that's coming again from our province. And the next horizon for our relationship is certainly in that energy security space, whether it be the uranium that we have discussed, or whether it even be other products, as we see some capacity being built on the west coast of Canada that certainly is there to access markets just like India. So yeah, I think bright days ahead and a brighter future for the relationship between our two nations.
And how important do you think has the role of Canadian provinces been, the likes of Saskatchewan and Ontario, in helping the federal government leverage its subnational strengths to further bilateral cooperation and trade ties with India?
I think it's vitally important, and it's added both ways. Whether it be subnational leadership in India engaging with subnational or national leadership in Canada, or in the case that we've taken in I'd say a fairly ambitious manner over the last 10 to 20 years, is for us as a province, a subnational government, to engage very publicly and to engage quite ambitiously with all levels of government and industry. And communities in India as well, as we're all one people sharing this earth, and we need to work together to ensure we're always building towards a better place for each of us to live. And so I think the subnational, the provincial involvement in, whether it be directly in a comprehensive economic trade agreement moving forward, or whether it be more of in a setting the the parameters for the discussion on and identifying where the opportunities are for us, for our respective nations to work on. So I think there's a great opportunity for provinces to be part of this, and we'll be certainly finding our way into those discussions representing Saskatchewan's interests, but also I think bringing with us a long-standing, close to 2-decade-old, very concerted effort to craft and to have a strong trading relationship with India. So I'm happy. I couldn't be happier. When I look back at the last few years and I look what the opportunity lies ahead of us in the next few years, I couldn't be happier to be here saying that there's some brighter days ahead for both our countries, and certainly an opportunity for us to work more closely together to the benefit of both Canadians and Indians, regardless of where we live.
Right, now you're visiting India very soon next year. What is going to be on your agenda when you visit India next?
Yeah, we will bring delegations in that space of not only the fertilizer space, as you say, the kind of the technology, innovation, agronomy space, to work alongside the Indian agricultural industry, but also the agri-food business as well, the ingredient business, whether it be the traditional pulses, peas and lentils that really our trading relationship has been built on, but great opportunities in the canola space, canola oil in particular, very safe, healthy cooking oil that is available from our province. And, some opportunities for us to build into conversations like that. We'll bring the energy industry as well, the uranium industry, the nuclear industry, and to share where Saskatchewan is in this conversation, what role Saskatchewan plays in the global fuel supply, the clean uranium supply for clean nuclear power, and to really look for corresponding partnerships that can be made for the players in each of those industries in India. We'll probably do that around Raisina time, and then building towards a partnership event and a similar event back in Saskatchewan coming into the spring. And so we'll be coming, to engage in conversation, but also coming with invitations in hand for further engagement in our province of Saskatchewan, Canada. So exciting year ahead.
Exciting year it is going to be. Thank you very much, Premier Scott Moe, for joining us, speaking to me on NewsX.
Thank you, Megan. You have a wonderful day, and to all your listeners, I look forward to seeing you soon.
It is looking forward in terms of how India and Canada trade ties are going to be reinstated and a brighter future ahead. On that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching.